Everybody, it's your boy, the Versace Stoner, with another episode of VSW.
This one's a big tune.
That's right, folks. Big news flash. Oh my God! VSW.
Brass hats know what time it is. Get up off of your seats and bow down to the king.
One of the greatest in this game, and one of my favorite all-time people in this game. The Versace Stoner.
It's places like this. I started in a mill. I'm here still in a mill. I consider myself a mill wrestler.
Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stoner. And tonight we're going to talk a very special episode. That's right. Shane McMahon. Let's give Disable Wolf a call and see how the night unfolds.
Disable fee.
Well. You know what time it is, Disable. We're talking about
With
it.
MailChimp,
We are
you can design
talking
more
about
engaging
it
marketing.
tonight. I was talking about Shane McMahon. As everybody has heard, recently there has been
A video editor
some statements made by WWE, by not AEW, I was gonna say, but by WWE fans, news sources, other articles saying that Shane McMahon is no
for all
longer
creators.
in
What you doing there?
WWE and is no longer, part of the creative process. Is no longer in the company, really. I
Ooh,
find this kind of crazy. He is the son of Vince.
the best in the world.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Right? I mean, come on. He is that money all day, Disable.
Here comes the
Okay?
kid on the
He is
He's
that
worth
Dog, your
over
best
money.
hits with the buck stop. See, first of all, I'm stepping out on my
You
own.
know, and I'm gonna cut the music. I am actually a big fan of his
Call it homegrown.
soundtrack. But when I first started watching him and when he was first introduced into WWE, he came out with a little bit of a different theme. It sounded more like this. And he had his boys. He had his own crew from Greenwich. The Main Street Posse. Big Gas. And all these guys. And this is kind of what, he would come out with this little stable, and, he was just hot shit. The son of the owner, but he just had something about him that was just, I'm the hottest thing in pro wrestling right now.
Oh yeah, big time. I remember first watching him. He was a badass. He was coast to coast. He always liked to get in matches. He wasn't as much of the business aspect as his father.
No, and he played great in that time period when we had a corporation. When you had that corporation stable, you had Vinnie Mac, you had Shane in there, his sister, everybody running it. You had the Undertaker angle, you had Stone Cold Austin angle. You had all sorts of different things, and Shane was just kind of just in it for it all during the Attitude Era.
Oh, I know. He was always into it. But he was part of the corporation in 1998. His real debut that I started on was when he was negotiating with Mike Tyson during the involvement in WrestleMania was Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels. I've looked back at it so many times.
Yep. And he's had so many just memorable moments
Hmm.
that it's just kind of just it's insane. I mean, it really is. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
he like I said, this guy was built for wrestling. He actually made his history. He actually was the first McMahon to actually capture the WWE Championship. And this happened actually on February 15th, 1999 on Monday Night Raw. And he beat X-Pac for the European title.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Vince won the WWE title, but a championship in WWE meant I remember he did beat X Pac for the European Championship.
Yep. Not WWF, but WWE, yes. And well, actually, at the time it was still WWF, but you know what I mean. And Shane had been back and forth. He had left, came back, went back. Stephanie, she's been part of it all. But I mean, really, like I said, I didn't watch a lot of the stuff during the the angle when the invasion angle. I will admit that I missed a lot of the invasion angle. But I do remember him during, like I said, the Attitude, and then I remember his greatest match to date for me is gonna be that Kurt Angle match.
Oh, that was amazing. That was during King of the Ring, I believe.
And there's so many stories surrounding that match. Just both in how the glass they hit the wrong glass or whatever,
Hmm.
or just that it was such a bloody match that Vince, the owner's son is getting bloody on TV, national TV on pay per view. Did he really need to do this at this time? You have to wonder that. Did Shane McMahon need to make his money, going through glass and bleeding all over the place and doing death defying stunts on TV when he could have easily just kind of, I think, in my own opinion, went the total McMahon route? He could have started as a broadcaster doing interviews. He could have been part of the commentary team, moved his way up through that way as Vince's kind of second in command, He didn't have to come in through the wrestling world. He wanted to. He wanted to wrestle. He's been a lifelong dream of his to be a wrestler.
Absolutely. When you grow up, when your dad has millions of people watching you, when
And
you
it's not
got
even just your dad. I mean, we're talking 4 generations of McMahons here. I mean, you remember Vince Sr. ran a wrestling company, WWE. WWF rather, and the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and from that a lot of changed and it got shortened down to WWF.
and it probably took years off Sidney Bella's life.
Well, yes, there was that time period when Sidney Bacabella was in there and Vern Gagne and all these guys, and then Vince really took the helm and kind of cut a lot of people. Unfortunately, Sidney was one of those people cut. I would love to actually get a story with him on this at some point because I'm sure he knew stage, trying to get Andre the Giant's autograph while Sidney
Maybe he was saving.
Bacabella was driving him around.
Maybe he was trying to save his sister from the Macho Man Versace.
Oh yeah, that could have been it too. You know, um, that's another story for another episode. The whole Macho Man debacle. Did that happen? Was it a myth? There's a lot of controversy with that one too. And you got to remember, I mean, there was even controversy in how they did the real life marriage on TV of Triple H and um
Stephanie.
yeah, exactly.
Hug-
And on the TV, she was like passed out, basically date raped.
Exactly, and Triple H just took her to get married,
And
right when she.
Triple H took her by the wedding, kind of nodded her head, and went about his business. That you got to remember would not fly today in today's world whatsoever. There would be like 15 different groups and hundreds and thousands of signatures to get that shut down.
I hate that. I love the Attitude Era. It helped
There
me
was
grow.
all sorts of craziness that took place, and honestly, Vince put his kids through it. Not just was it Shane McMahon.
Stephanie was in a lot of big storylines
That's what
too.
I'm saying. He put Stephanie in the forefront too. He had her with the whole Undertaker Ministry of Darkness angle. She
Yeah,
was kidnapped, and it was Vince all along that was behind the kidnapping. Just really sick, crazy shit. He put her through other storylines that just would not fly today. Most of his storylines would not fly today. A lot of the stuff in the Attitude Era, people today probably would cringe.
especially the storyline where Shane McMahon went on WCW during WCW's last episode, last ever time of the Monday Night Wars per se, and said that I'm the owner of WCW, and that WrestleMania street fight between him and Vince. I remember that so well.
Well, yeah, and they did that, and
And Linda McMahon lost the will because Vince hated her and cheated on her with Trish Stratus.
another crazy, storyline that took place that probably people would frown upon today. You saw how they reacted to the Miro situation,
Oh,
with
I'm
Rusev and Lana being cheated on with Bobby Lashley. You saw how the fans reacted to that. And that wasn't even like a tenth of what they used to pull back in the day.
Oh, I know it. Like I was laughing so hard when I was younger. My mom hated it, you know.
And that's what it was about. It was about getting.
'Cause I feel like every female that wasn't a teenager in college or didn't date someone who was into it, all hated it, and all the men, every guy I know who wasn't a senior citizen knew about it and watched it.
I mean, to be honest with you, during the Attitude Era, the demographic I do feel kind of shifted to professional wrestling. It prior to that was more of a obviously family orientated affair. Females did watch it, families watch it, wives watch it with their husbands, kids. I remember even my grandparents used to go in and watch wrestling in Boston. It was a big thing. Attitude Era came, and boom, things started to shift. The demographic went from, all ages to like 13 to 29. And that was it. If you were like a married family, man, good luck going to like a show because I remember going as a kid. Girls in front of me were flashing me. Girls behind me were flashing me. There was no rules. There was nothing. There was no, you think today, there's strict rules in what you can wear. When you go to a WWE show, how you can look, you can't wear AEW shirts, you can't do this, you can't do that. This was none of that back then. And there was girls, fully just showing their tits. And the cameramen wouldn't even care. They would just take photos. They don't care. And, it was before social media, before people had cell phones on them 24/7. So there was no phones around. People did whatever they wanted to do because they knew weren't being filmed. Today, that doesn't fly. Anything you do gets captured somewhere, somehow. And again, when that happens, people just they don't act up. They don't act up. They always know that there's some eye in the sky watching them. This again wasn't the case back in the day. Totally different era, brother. Totally different era.
Oh, I know it. But they're trying to. Vince tried to when he made a shareholder company get families to watch, but the only people that are watching are like little kids, and the only parents that watch it with them because their kids watch it, not because they like it.
Well,
Like in
yeah.
the
See, and that's the thing. Back in the day, the Attitude Era parents that watched it were into it. They got into these deep, dark, deep storylines. Some of them even darker than say. And then you had the emergence of ECW, which brought in a whole other level of professional wrestling um, demographics. Because now you had even more of a male demographic, hardcore demographic. You had the females actually start to appeal to the ECW fans as fans because you had a lot more women in there. Yes, WWE had women like Sable and stuff, but
Yeah.
ECW started bringing in people like Francine and McGillicuddy, and they were doing things in the ring, making things happen.
Luna, they had Luna Vacan.
I mean, and
W.
then you had XPW, and they just took it to a whole new fucking level. That got themselves canceled and all. I mean, they're just able to come back now, and like 20 years later, whatever the fuck it is, So like I said, very different time when Shane entered to when Shane's exiting WWE. I mean, just think of all the changes that have been made in the company, the back end, the front end. It's totally different company than he started in. And it's kind of sad to see him go, honestly, because it is another end of an era superstar. Even though, he'll probably be back, maybe. Who the freak knows? I kind of find it odd that you can't
They
settle a family.
Rumble.
Well, I
That's
can't.
so
I don't see how you can't settle a family feud here, kind of civilly behind scenes. How did it come to? Okay, you're out of your company. Bye. Like, I
uh,
don't know. I just don't get it. Like, I heard that. I heard rumors that he's been pushing himself to try to win. He pushes himself in the forefront of things. He pushes himself, in the Rumble, just like he did, the best in the world, and taking the limelight. And he wanted to do more and more and more. But is that any different than what Vince did back in the day? Fighting Steve Austin,
no way. Fight,
and that
and
and that was in front of a much bigger audience because the Attitude Era audience was much larger. I feel that even though the
Whaler.
demographic might have not have been for everybody, there was a lot more eyes and ears on professional wrestling. So Vince was, in front of the TV all the time, every Monday night, fighting
He,
Steve Austin, Zambonis, going to the hospital, shots in the ass, all sorts of fucking crazy shit. What's the difference? This guy booked himself to win the Rumble. He booked himself to win titles. He booked himself to, do all sorts of things.
W title and WWE title.
That's what I'm saying. So, is there any difference? And you think that Shane's a problem? Because why?
Probably
I
good.
feel like, Vince has a real complex disorder when it comes to, like, who's in charge. And, like, nobody else can be in charge. And nobody else can be the great Vince. And nobody else can do what Vince does.
Nobody else. If Vince doesn't think you're good, you're not good.
He's very, very like Hugh Heffernish. Like he's like the Playboy legend with rules, regulations, how things are. Just very weird kind of person that doesn't allow for much, it seems, personal growth unless you go his direction or can take something and make him really starstruck. Hogan made him starstruck. Cena made him starstruck. There's a
The
lot of
Rock,
others. San Martino, The Rock, Mick Foley,
Andre the
Brock
Giant,
Lesnar, Undertaker, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. These
Orton.
people all have them, but you know, right now it is Nick Khan that seems to have him starstruck the most.
I think he's willing to destroy his family for this Nick Khan guy.
He might.
He's he caused so much stress in his son-in-law. He's destroying his creation.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't get that. I just don't understand it. Uh, like, I don't understand why this guy, what's his name here? Michael Seamark. Why he posts on my timeline, deletes it, then posts again, deletes it, posts it again. How many times are you gonna post and delete? Just say what you're gonna say. You have an edit button, so
It's not like Twitter.
yeah, it's not like Twitter at all. So I find it just very annoying. You're gonna write on my wall, and then when you finally do write something, and it finally comes to it,
Finally,
it
finally,
says something like this. It says, book Robert Fuller Jr. for your wrestling events. 2022 schedule filling up. Quality guy will make your show better. Contact Versace Stoner, which is me, for details. Big things are coming for Rob Roberts in 2022. Now, okay, can we just break this down for a second? I know this has nothing to do with Shane McMahon, and I'm sorry, folks, but can we just break this
Breaking
fucking
news.
post down? First of all, nobody is sanctioned to speak on behalf of me to do anything. I'm not looking to book anybody. I'm not looking to throw any shows. I worked with Rob Roberts at KPW, and to be honest with you, he disappointed me, just like TJ Tucker disappointed me at the end of it when they both changed the ending of the match. Now, why is the ticket salesman guy telling people in the world to book Rob Roberts, who couldn't even get the job done for me,
I think he's just trolling everybody.
but then he's gonna have him contact me, and this is how the rumors start, that I'm hiring people for wrestling, and it's how the rumors start for you too, that you're paying people $100, $200 bonuses to wrestle for you, Brian. I'm disabled. You know what I mean? It's this is how it starts. This is why I get so mad, because it's a new year and it's supposed to be a new beginning, and it's already started. You
Absolutely.
already got people saying book, contact him, contact me, which means contact you, which means contact us. We're not in this business for that. We run a
Nope.
podcast.
Podcast business. We're freaking like podcast company. We're not. We got sidetracked because all we wanted was freaking YouTube hours.
Yeah, I mean we got an offer to tape some cool wrestling with some cool wrestlers, and it was gonna be an RP project for us. We would do some editing, do some commentating, and make it look professionally nice. That was it. Bingo. We are not the Vince McMahon Jr., Sr. trying to take over any wrestling industry. We like to go to the shows we go to. We barely have enough time and conflict of interest to go to those. Never mind throwing our own. I couldn't even imagine what we'd do it disabled. We'd have to do it like on a freaking Monday night or something. So we have no conflict of interest with any of the other promotions that we love to go see.
Exactly. And if we ran against any of the promotions I don't want to say names we consistently cover, it'd be a slap in the face.
It would be a slap in the face, and I wouldn't honestly do that. And I will talk about it. I will say that I wouldn't run against NCW, Chaotic, Limitless, Beyond, a Lucky Pro, RWA, RW even. I'm not going to run against anybody. I don't want to run against anybody. I don't see the point of running against anybody. I'm not in the business to run against anybody. I'm not trying to steal wrestling business from any promotion. I
If we
like the media end of it. I like filmography. I like to do photography. I like to
if
make
we were
videos. I
if
like to.
we ever to run something, it would be to work with companies and evaluate them. Kind of. I don't want to give away all the details, but if we were ever to do, it would be a co-op or kind of like an all-in or
Well,
whatever.
like I talked about back in 2017 and 18 to say, well, talking about it, I wanted to run a fundraiser for autism. A 50-50, 50 profits goes to us to help cover the cost of the show. 50% of the profits goes to, the autism, whatever organization we decided in that field to donate to. And I would love to do that because I know a lot of people that are on the spectrum. It, it is something that is a deep passion and it impacts the wrestling world, believe it or not. It just does. So, in my opinion, that would be the only way I would really want to do this. And I would make it a collab show. I would invite other promotions to come aboard, and offer up the talent. Say, hey, can you want to offer me 1 or 2 matches? We'll make a deal here for booking costs. It is going to be a 50-50 show, and so forth and so on. That's how I see things. To say, well, I don't see myself running shows constantly. I don't see myself running shows every day. I don't see myself running weeklies, monthlies. I'm not in that business. And if people thought I was, then I'm sorry to say I'm not. I do marketing, I do podcasting, I do video editing, video work, graphic design. That's what we do. That's what we do here at VSW. So we always really have done, if you remember.
On Versace, maybe we do a double statement. Maybe we do one on a VSW page and one on your Facebook page because people got to realize we're not paying. We're not paying low tired people
Well, I mean, the
100 plus.
first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit this button. It's a nice, nifty button on Facebook. It says delete post. Are you sure you want to delete this post? Yes, I
Yeah.
am sure. Goodbye to the post. Okay, that's gone because we're not going to throw my name out there. I'm not trying to run a show this month. I can barely, like I said, we got a lot of things coming in. You know what? To say, well, March is going to be even more. You got 3 shows right in a row. 1, 2, 3 now. NCW, Lucky Pro, and now the chaotic New Hampshire show.
And don't forget, you got a Limitless show in March, obviously, their monthly show. And you got that doesn't include Cold Fury.
That's just those 3 days in a row, and then you got the rest of it, the stuff going on. Not to mention, like I said, whatever other promotions have as well. So I mean, yeah, I don't see ourselves when I don't see us even having time to do it.
The
Maybe
people,
if we had a team to run VSW and we had 100 people, or even 1 or 2 good dedicated people that could help, then maybe we would have time to run wrestling promotions and put on matches and
to
stuff.
everyone who's listening to this, like, it's gotta be, if you want us to do all these things, if you want us to go to your shows, buy merch, run a promotion or whatever someday, we need people to help. Like maybe we would if people gotta look at it like we're having fun, and we could really boom if we had dedicated people like me and you.
Of course, 100%. I've said that since day one. I've said that, you know, and now I mean, like I said, we're gonna be doing the best we can do. That when conflicts of interest come up, sometimes we will split up if it's one of the key promotions. But if it's not, we're not gonna split up. There's no need. We'll just pick one and go together. I mean, why should we have to bust our ass for nothing? But that's neither here nor there. So far, I don't see any conflicts coming right now. So far with the schedules out that are out. But like I said, back to Shane McMahon. Though I'm sorry, that just came right like up, and then it hit me, and I'm like, I gotta address this right now before I forget, because by tomorrow morning there'll be 50 emails from in my inbox, and another 10 messages or so telling me that I need to book them as well. Forget Rob Roberts, this and that. Yeah, forget that. I'm not getting involved, and you know that.
Exactly.
But back to the real nature. I'm sorry, everybody that was listening, that we got sidetracked with that. It wasn't supposed to be that way, but when
Watch.
that was kind of something important and emergency, and I wanted to address it actually, in person. So I think we let a lot of these things go to Sable Wolf, and we never really address them, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. So I think now is the time that we do start to address these things.
These things become too much, then we gotta bury the group.
Sink the ship, you say, eh?
Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean to say. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. I like everybody in this industry, but if it's gonna impact us and people are gonna be talking, and we're gonna put us in predicaments that we don't need to be in, I mean, you saw how the end of the year went. You saw the last KPW show, all that unfolded because of this kind of conduct. I just can't repeat that. I can't have it repeated, disabled. I just can't.
People, how can people think we have complete control when we have no control at all? There's no point.
No, I know. Um, but like I said, back to what we were talking about, Shane McMahon. One hell of a wrestler. I'm kind of still and kind of rather shocked that they let him go. Just because,
He's
like I said, he not only is the son of the owner, he's a McMahon. I mean, But I mean, in my opinion, he is kind of crucial to WWE. He has his memorable moments. Yes, okay, it's annoying that he kind of stole limelight, but is it any different than what Lesnar did? I mean, Lesnar, what? He
He,
drops the title to win the Rumble? That's garbage. That's hot garbage, and everybody freaking knows it.
there are guys in WWE and girls in WWE who bust their ass 360 days a year. And Lesnar just comes in. I get he's a draw, don't get me wrong. He comes in and goes whenever he wants.
You won't see him until another, high end moment, and he, will come again. We'll see him at Mania. He'll either win or lose. If he wins, we'll see him lose at SummerSlam. If not, we might not see him again until Survivor Series, or who knows.
It's
And it goes
about
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
he's in the Elimination Chamber in the Saudi show for the WWE title. And he won the Rumble saying he was gonna face Roman, so they're really gonna have this guy win the WWE title again too.
Probably. I mean, they love him, and he's one of the people that he is starstruck for. And I hate to say that, but it's true. It's very true.
Oh yeah.
But and that's why I don't think I talk a lot about WWE, because it's hard for me not to get negative fast, because there is a lot of bullshit that I think is just fucked up, and
Oh,
not just for the wrestling world, but just in the world general, and the way that the whole company is run. Do you see people let go? You see great people get fired for no apparent reason, and
it,
you see the wrong people get pushed. You always see just people get turned to mud like war raiders.
Alistair Black.
I mean, the list can go on and on. And yes, AEW, while it's a better company in some aspects, eventually could become the same thing. I'm not going to say they're the golden savior either, because what they did with Big Swall, I think is very unprofessional too. The way Tony Khan went on about that. So
Tried to
I'm
work with
not
the
gonna,
Bron-
praise one over the other. They both kind of fucking seem kind of shitty when it comes to certain things. And certain things, one is better than the other, and that's, maybe the way the talent is treated, and the way also the creative force of the talent is, presented.
my problem.
AEW seems to do a lot better of a job with that.
Oh yeah, AEW is a way better company, and they care about their wrestlers. Don't get me wrong, but there's no difference between them when it comes to the toxic fan bases that love one company and hate don't give any companies a chance. There are plenty of AEW fans that do love the indie scene, but there are AEW fans that are just watching it to spite WWE. I get that,
That it's true.
like I love AEW. It's one of I watched last night, and that CM Punk versus NJF match turned out to be a really great match.
It has. Um, and I think it's gonna be, as the years go on, AEW is going to become bigger and bigger. More people are going to latch on. Hopefully, it is going to be that second kind of choice that WCW was back in the day.
It is. I am glad they're on separate nights, even though if they were on Mondays, I would watch AEW over WWE, no question about it. Like the reason why we don't cover WWE is it's hard to be very positive about it because
It
it
is
kind
hard.
kind of like being that Cleveland Browns or Detroit Lions fan that you keep hoping that this year is going to be a year. Ever since the ruthless aggression era ended, but keeps finding ways to lose or find ways to disappoint.
It's very true. Very true.
Like they become this Yankees, Lakers, Canadians, or Patriots powerhouse, and then they turned into the Browns and Lions
It's
of
funny. We were
W.
talking about them earlier today.
Oh yeah, but Cincinnati did make it. Anything's possible.
Anything can happen. I still think it has to do because the kid wore that Cincinnati shit.
Maybe he's a good luck charm.
Think
Who dey?
so. I do think so. Disable. Speaking of football and all that fun, I think Brady's actually going to be able to play in the Pro Bowl, right?
Yeah, he may. He should play in it if it's his last game. Why not?
I feel like he never really got a good chance with that.
Thing is about the Pro Bowl, if you make the Super Bowl, you don't play in it.
That's what I'm saying. This has been one of the years he hasn't made it, so maybe he can actually enjoy it for once.
Usually declines the Pro Bowl, but
Hey, who knows? You gotta try at least everything once, right?
yeah, just like Vince gotta let every idea once, and he never does. Does things his way, he over choreographs everything.
Oh yeah.
The thing is with Shane is he left, started his own company, then he came back.
Well, yeah, and I mean, he might do the same thing again. I don't think. I mean, I don't think Shane is gonna go to AEW. I don't think Shane is gonna go, running to Impact. I don't think he's gonna do any of those things.
If it the internet would crash if he did that.
Eh, And if he did, it would. If he did, honestly, it would probably be still a troll.
Oh yes.
He's not gonna. He's just not. I just don't. Like I said, I don't see him doing that.
Hmm. Oh yeah, one of them. You don't know what's gonna happen with Shane. Maybe it's just a work, and he'll come back in a few weeks to get
The
ready
whole
for
thing could be. I
WrestleMania.
mean, don't forget the whole thing could be a work. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know that for a fact that it's not.
If it's not, you don't see Triple H in the limelight anymore. Ever since he had his heart surgery,
Nope.
you
And
don't
you know
even.
what? Honestly, he's another. He's becoming another byproduct of the destruction of Nick Khan because, like, honestly, I think he's out and Nick Khan's in.
Yeah, Nick Khan's the one who oversees NXT. He's trying to turn it into a mini Raw instead of a developmental, edgy territory.
Anything that freaking Triple H, any of the people that Triple H put any effort into, they freaking just pretty much destroyed.
Uh, they let
Any
go of guys.
ideas that he put, they've gotten rid of. They even look in the 2.0. It's just the whole thing. And the whole downfall, it's not Triple H's fault. It's nobody's fault. You know whose fault it is? It's Vince's fault for putting it against AEW. You're putting it against a brand new wrestling company that picked up Chris Jericho, that are picking up indie people, that are picking up all sorts of other people every night, Wednesday night. Of course, people are going to tune in. And then you try to put the old same rubbish that Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are on NXT. Nobody wants to see those guys. People are watching NXT for the NXT people, not for the superstars that left. That was mistake number two.
Exactly.
And then, you can't run them. And then mistake number three is when
Their
they changed the
NXT
format.
formula was so perfect. 1 hour a week on the network. Then quarterly takeovers right before Big Four pay per views. That formula was pisser. You didn't
The
have to
original
watch
formula
it
was great,
live.
okay? I used to watch it whenever I could. I would watch, it was only an hour. I would catch up. And then, like I said, I would look forward to those Saturday night kind of felt more like a boxing fight or a UFC fight feel to it. And it would be great. And then the next day would be kind of like your family orientated WWE pay per view, whatever it was. They would be a little bit more toned down.
And I still had that. I couldn't wait when we were before the pandemic. Boston obviously was going to get SummerSlam, Raw and SmackDown. We were going to get NXT Takeover. I think I was more excited for that than than I was SummerSlam, to
We
be
were
honest.
because I mean, if you remember, we got NXT a house show in Lowell, and we had such a great time at that. I mean, it was great. We saw a lot of the great guys. We saw a lot. I mean, people stayed around after. We met Gargano. We met Djurjevic. We met a lot of
Big
people.
Music,
Yep.
who's coming to be on tomorrow when his no compete clause expires. And breaking news, he's going to be in a chaotic show in February.
We gotta get tickets to that one too. I mean, this is
We
getting
got to
crazy. We
talk
got
to
another show to go to.
our unit friends. The old owner promised us to use the tickets that you didn't get to make.
Oh yeah. Hopefully they'll still be good this year. I know a lot of companies that stopped allowing last year's tickets good for this year. But if
Oh,
not, we're gonna have to go anyways. It's Biff Busick. It's chaotic wrestling. It's something that we cover religiously.
absolutely. And the two expect. I think I know what Chaotic's trying to do is every other show. The big shows like the Summer Chaos and the Cold Fury and the Breaking Points are going to be at like nice ballroom hotels, and I think you're going to see every other show be in their little Tewksbury area and the other one in our area.
It could happen. That would be great for us. Um, but I mean, honestly, let's talk a little bit back about Shane. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think Shane is gonna do?
I honestly think he's gonna make a comeback right after the Saudi pay per view, and maybe try to kayfabe this situation everyone's feeling about WWE, and trying to make himself a face authority figure, and maybe see the on screen debut of Nick Khan the lead into Mania. Maybe he gets involved in this rumor Ronda Rousey Charlotte match. Maybe that will be kind of like to be in charge of WWE. They're pushing Vince on screen with this Austin Theory guy, so maybe he has a wrestler representing on his behalf. See Austin Theory versus Shane at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah. So
I
I
hope
mean, we're gonna
it's
have.
hilarious. Shane at Go Away. If you remember, right after WrestleMania 35, when the product really, really started to go downhill, that was a year before the pandemic happened. You had Shane McMahon on TV every day.
Yeah, you did, but
Let
then you
people to
also
turn on.
remember that at one point, Shane was GM of Raw, wasn't he? And then they made him what? Didn't they replaced him with who?
Oof.
Well, you had a few people after that. You had the
Adam
Olympian Kurt Angle, and then you had the King there when he won King. I mean, what's his name there? I forget these guys. I don't know these WWE guys. You know who I'm talking about, though.
Corbin.
Yeah, you had Corbin, you had those guys. But remember, originally it was Shane, and you used to have Shane and then Stephanie, and used to do these things.
Absolutely. You had Shane. Shane was always loved by the WWE Universe until a few years ago when he turned out people got tired of him, and then he competes for someone who got injured in the Saudi to win the Best in the World trophy.
I think
But
honestly, him taking that victory away from like the Miz and just that whole kind of feud
Dolph
with the Miz. I think that really was honestly his downfall. At that point, people started to hate him. And then when he took, best in the world and he started, winning stuff and he started to take more limelight and taking WrestleMania spots and taking this spot, taking that spot. People were like, what the fuck?
since Undertaker competed less, Triple H didn't wrestle a lot less. You didn't have guys like Shawn Michaels. Yeah, you had Edge that was able to come back, but you have Shane basically taking a place of the one of the to be in headline matches. Like you had a feud with him and Braun Strowman that was pretty bad last year, all because he called Braun stupid.
Yeah, see, like, I didn't like that. That was just, I mean, that was just, the storyline to that match was stupid in my opinion. Um, and it was so childish and just so kind of and it was unnecessary. I think Shane could have been used better, doing something better. I get
Like,
it though. I mean I get why people don't like this guy. The cockiness and this, and nobody wants when you own a company to actually put yourself face first all the time. Imagine if that was the independent scene.
oh, I know it.
Imagine John Casey winning the Big City Rumble.
Exactly.
People would
Well,
be
you have
flipping out in New
that
England.
competes, but that's different. That'd be
Thank you,
like Randy
everybody, all
Copper
the
winning
new
the nation
subscribers.
win.
We love you. Thank you very much, people. Much appreciated. But yeah, it wouldn't fly in the indie scene, so I can guarantee you it's starting to not fly there. And bad enough, I know companies that have owners as champions, and in the lower tier indie scene. But
and
imagine if it was in like the middle tier or higher tier.
but in the low tier, if one of their people friends that they pretend to be on screen enemies can't fight, and you get recommend someone to fight him, he just won't show up at his own promotion.
I mean, let's just look at chaotic wrestling, for a second. Look at the former owner. I mean, he's now Waterboy.
And very sad.
He's a very sad Waterboy.
Maybe he's on Paw Patrol.
Maybe, but I think Shane McMahon, me personally, could go either two ways. He has money. He
No
could
doubt.
start. He could start another promotion if he wanted to. He could
He
start
has a
another. He
company
could
called
start
That.
another mini NXT kind of developmental promotion that would kind of serve as a fuck
He
you to
buys out
Vince
Ring
if
of
if
Honor.
he really wanted to. If he really wanted to. Now, if he didn't really want to do that, I mean, if this is just some kind of a break or whatever, or maybe it's not even up to him. Like I said, maybe this really happened. All of it's true. Vince is fed up. Done. You're out. You know, I don't see Shane working for another promotion. I just don't. I either see him running his own or running nothing. I mean, can you see him going on AEW television to fight Kenny Omega?
No way.
I mean, would the fans even? How would the fans even react to that kind of a pickup? I feel like it would destroy the wrestling world. I think WWE fans would be disgusted. AEW fans would be fuck you. Everybody would be disgusted by that pickup if this was to happen.
Basically, if they hate Cody and Brandy, imagine if Shane came in.
Yeah, and I
Brandy
mean Shane
so much
picking up
go with
AEW,
that.
picking up a former owner of WWE or a similar owner, it would just be cringe all
That
around.
Hill and Brandy Rhodes and Cody keep being baby faces, and oh, you should have seen that guy Dan Lambert from America's Top Team or whatever, and AEW confronted Brandy in Chicago, and he has an edge. People that love certain podcasts on Spotify love his speech. Like they were cheering for him. It was so bad because they booed Brandy Rhodes. Like they hate Cody and Brandy just so much.
Yeah, they do. It's horrible the way they treat Cody, and just to think, how far he's come in the industry from what WWE did to him to now, and they still just despise and hate this man. But like I said, even back then, and Shane has been someone that's been kind of always there. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't put himself forefront, but when shit went sour and you needed somebody last minute to do these things, Shane could and was able to do them. You got to remember, Miz probably would have won that match had he not been injured.
Absolutely. I was there at that match at WrestleMania 35.
Okay,
They
if it
they
wasn't
had
for the injury, like things would have changed. There would have been a different outcome.
I believe so too. Shane just laid on Miz and it got pinned. It basically was a draw, even though Shane won.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't know what to say. I just find it a real, like I said in the beginning, it's all rather strange. It just is because I mean, not just he's the owner. I mean, he's the owner's son. I mean, he's Shane McMahon. How are you gonna fire him and let him go?
Your own flesh and blood.
I just don't get it. Yeah, your own flesh and blood. Like I could never do that to my son. No way.
It's right.
No way
But
at
maybe
all.
Vince adopting Nick Khan.
Yeah, I mean he went from Swoggle to Nick Khan, really.
Yeah, so he wants to call non Big Four pay per views live premium live events or whatever.
So basically going back to In Your House,
Maybe.
when shows were just kind of In Your House, Bad Blood, In Your House, whatever the theme fucking was. And then you had your major pay per views, and I think that was a downfall of wrestling. I liked it honestly better when there was only 4 to 5 pay per views a year. When you started the
Me
year off
too.
with the Royal Rumble, you went right to WrestleMania. Then they introduced in '93 the King of the Ring, which I thought was brilliant and a very good idea. It didn't last too many years, but the first few were very entertaining. All the way up actually until Austin won, to be honest. You had the King of the Ring come in. From then,
Yeah.
you had a spot right until SummerSlam to Survivor Series, and then the year began again with the Royal Rumble. You had house shows in between. Eventually, at one point, you would get Monday Night Raw, and that would kind of fuel these things even more, but you still only had, the major 4 to 5 pay per views. And then you'd have, Saturday superstars in the morning. You would have, Monday Night Raw. They would do different things to drag out the storylines to get to the next pay per view. Magazines, everything. That
Oh,
was
I
how
know.
WWE was until the In Your House came about, and they started running monthly pay per views. And they weren't even originally they weren't even as long as regular pay per views. They were shorter, and I
How
think
long
they
was
were actually cheaper too. And then
Brian
they
Way
started to raise
cheaper?
the price, and they started to make it every month was an In Your House, In Your House, In Your House, In Your House. Degeneration X had an In Your House. Bad Blood was a good one. You had the one with I think that's the one you had Kane coming.
When
Kane,
Kane debuted in that first Hell in a Cell match.
yep, that was another In Your House. And then they just kind of started to get rid of the In Your House name and just made WWE whatever, WWF whatever, over the edge until that. Obviously, we know what happened with that, and other pay per views. They just named them, and they kind of just stuck with that, and now they just run with whatever they run with.
Hmm.
Most of them are gimmick pay per views though, which is kind of interesting because outside of your major four, yeah, you don't have a King of the Ring anymore,
No, you don't.
but you
Once in a
have
while,
two. But you have
the
two other
comeback
gimmick
at special, but
But
that's
you
about
have
it.
that. But you have two other gimmick pay per views. You have the Elimination Chamber, which decides a champion. You
Yeah,
also have.
Hell in a Cell pay per view.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. You actually have three gimmicks. You have the Hell in the Cell one
TLC.
because that's every. Then we're talking four because you have Hell in the Cell. That's in every year. TLC is an almost every year event gimmick kind of one, and then you have the Money in the Bank, which has become a pinnacle every year. So with that, not only is there like 3 ways to get into like a title shot now because you can do elimination chamber to get into a match. You can win the money in the bank. You can do all these things. You also have all these gimmicky kind of pay per views that is filling up spots. So you
Oh,
can't just
really?
run random shows. And when you
No.
do, They don't come out good.
Not at all. Well, they tried in the Ruthless Aggression era, and they tried to get back into it a few years ago by doing Raw, SmackDown only pay per views.
I remember that, some pay per views would just be designated Raw, designated SmackDown, and this would work. But the problem is you have such a wide variety of fans that here's the thing. What happens, half of your fan base is fans of people on a SmackDown, and half of your fan base people on a Raw. When these pay per views pop, not everybody is going to watch. There's people that literally only watch WWE for their favorite wrestler.
Absolutely, we all know
Yes,
that.
yes, there's people that watch the whole show as a whole. They like wrestling, they love it. They've been that way since they've been a kid, and we know a lot of them too. But then there's the whole demographic that just watches for their favorite wrestler. The last of
Very
the
true.
dying breed. That's what's keeping them alive. I know a lot of people that watch WWE just for the Fiend character and Bray Wyatt.
I am so sad that they got rid of Bray Wyatt.
It's
One of
just
the
a
best
terrible
characters
situation.
on
It's a
television.
waste. To me, it's just the biggest waste of creative effort in wrestling history. I mean, you put so much into that, so much into the Firefly Funhouse, all those episodes, all those shows, all the storylines, all the crazy moments, all the scary moments, all the merch, all the buzz around it, all the different characters, Percy, Mercy, the Buzzard, and the Pig, and all this just to do nothing and throw it away and call it a fucking day. It's like it's the biggest waste of creative history, and it's definitely not something that I think
Yeah.
if let's go back for an if moment. If Shane McMahon was sole leader of WWE, I don't think it's something that would have happened. I think he would have. I think honestly, Vince. I think Shane, while he is very self-centered, also is a
Yeah.
little bit more smarter for business than Vince, and he was just okay. Well, I don't care. Bray makes us money. Let's keep him.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
that's just my opinion, but it is a sad state of affairs when you have wrestlers like this just get terminated. Yes, I heard that it was on his own behalf, and obviously when you know John Hubbard passed away, it deeply affected him.
When Luke Harper died last year.
Yeah. It really deeply affected him to the point that he got very, I think, clinically depressed, honestly, and he could no longer wrestle. This, it spiraled into other things and no shows and so on, but
Yeah. Very true.
it's just a sad
Yeah.
state of affairs.
Absolutely. You saw his wife works for the AEW community outreach team now.
Yeah.
But it ain't the same without him. I really was looking forward to seeing him post Luke Harper as Brody Lee. He's just starting to thrive. He was becoming TNT champion.
I remember when he debuted as the leader you
Of
know,
Dark Order.
of Dark Order, yes. I'm sorry, I mean, I haven't watched AEW in a minute. I've watched it, but I haven't watched it. And to be honest with you, after that happened, I just kind of lost interest in the Dark Order. I think it kind of changed for me. I was very much into it. It's probably the one faction that I feel like just got thrown away for nothing. Way before they even had him taking over, I just felt like it never had direction.
That's how I feel too. Can't tell if they're serious or comedy guys.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, Shane McMahon is I don't know if he's gonna go to AEW or not. I don't think he will, but I still think this is all work.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I feel like some of it has to be a work.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Because why would Vince let it go public that he's firing his own son? You know how bad that makes him look?
makes
But
him
there are a
look
lot
horrible.
of things
And
that
like
make
to be
Vince look
honest,
bad.
where's the outrage from all these public sponsors and all the public traded company and public traders? Wouldn't there be outrage of this?
You would
And wouldn't
think.
there be more slander from Shane? Like, what the fuck, Dad? What the fuck, man? Like, I don't know. I just feel like this would be a whole different situation where this and it's wrestling, and as we know in wrestling, anything can happen, anything can be a work, anything can be real, but we'll never know. You'll know 10 years on dark side of the ring what happened. But we'll keep it, we'll keep listening. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you, Shane. You brought me a lot of great WWE
Thank you,
WWE
Shane.
memories. Really has.
Coast to coast on all the stunts you've done. I
We
can't
thank we
remember
we
the time
thank we thanked
back
Tom Brady
before
this year. We thanked Tom Brady in a couple episodes back. And a lot of people call him the GOAT, but we gotta thank Shane McMahon. He's the best in the world.
best in the world.
Thank you everybody for listening. It's been a pleasure. We'll be back, later in the weekend or early Monday with another VSW podcast.